then this is the webinar to introduce the Global Minds program. And I would really like to welcome my colleagues here who are gonna share my enthusiasm into inviting you to come and join our program. First and foremost, I'm very grateful to two of our alumnae in feminine, Diana Lizarazo and Georgiana Darau. You're very welcome. They have finished with us already during the pandemic, almost after, just after the pandemic was finished. And they have been an amazing contribution to our program. So we are really glad to have students who graduated from the program because they also can give you a student perspective. I have my colleague from Limerick here, Caroline Rafter. Caroline joined our team very recently, and she is the European administrator of the consortium while I do the academic stuff. Caroline does the admin stuff, and there's a lot of stuff to be done. So we sometimes, do a lot of things, right? And so Caroline, I'll come back to say the hellos in a bit, but I also would like to say hello and to introduce Melanie Vauclair. Dr. Vauclair has originally started our master's program back in 2017 when the program was hosted in her university in Lisbon at ISTE, University Institute of Lisbon. So Melanie is the founder of the program. We brought the program to UL in 2021, and then I took some of this weight off Melanie's shoulder. But Melanie's, of course, still involved as a local coordinator of the program. And Karolina Mazurowska is here also, who is the local coordinator from SWPS University in Warsaw. And Karolina also has been involved with the program from the very beginning, back in 2016 when we first even started to work together. And so we have here two representatives of three universities. So I represent Limerick, myself and Caroline. Melanie represents Lisbon, and Carolina represents Warsaw. But of course, there is another university in our consortium, University of Oslo, and we might have a surprise visit from there as well today. However, Diana is now in Oslo, so we can also say that Oslo is very well represented. So this is also to give you a very quick insight into who we are and how this program is. And here you see there's some color coding. The people based in UL are here with green, and the newest of all is Caroline. And then we have Melanie and Ricardo. They are coordinators based in Lisbon. And then in Oslo, we have Thomas and Gulnaz, Carolina, and I have a missing photo here, but never mind. We have also Radek and other colleagues there. You can actually find information on the whole team on our website. And then you also see our lovely alumni there, Georgiana and Diana. I want to give you a very brief outline of how this is working today. I'm going to tell you something about the curriculum, something about the admission, who do we want on the program and who gets admitted on the program, something about scholarships, fees, and funding for the program, and also highlight a little bit of how we interact with our students and how we try to support you the best we can to get onto the program and then to graduate from the program. Okay, so that's more or less what we're trying to cover, and we're going to try and do this in a record time of maybe half an hour, so that we have a lot of time for discussion. A lot of the information, if not all of the information, is also on our web pages, and we use very actively social media as a way of communicating about the program. So I would really like to invite you to really stay in touch with us by basically following us on the social media, so on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. And again, in terms of kind of positioning the program, especially for people who are outside of Europe, but even within Europe, because typically master's programs are in one country, while these Erasmus Mundus joint master's programs are by definition jointly delivered by multiple universities. And what we have in our consortium here is we have a Southern and an Central Eastern European partner, and we have a Scandinavian partner in Norway, and we have a, let's say, Western European partner here in Ireland, right? So you see that in our program, we have an interesting combination of basically different parts of Europe where our students get to live and study, okay? And another interesting and very important point about how Global Minds is run, but also in general, Erasmus Mundus programs are run, is that there is a European level of coordination of the program, of making sure about the quality, about the running of things in terms of content, but also in terms of basic enrollment and graduation, so administrative issues. So those are the European level. So myself and Caroline are coordinating that European level now from Limerick. And then we have the local coordination level, which is basically where also our local master's programs live, right? So Global Minds is building on local master's programs that already run at our universities. So when you come to study at Global Minds, you're also going to meet and interact with local master students from all of these different locations, okay? I don't know if at this point, Melanie or Karolina want to say something about the setup, right? That we are kind of, yeah. I will explain in a minute about the pathways into the program, and then maybe when we discuss about those pathways, you can say something about, you know, the role of first semester universities where you both are coordinating them, okay? So we'll do that then. So again, in very general terms, I feel like this is also really my duty to introduce and to really propose it, right, to potential applicants to know that our program is, of course, a master's program, and our ambition is to deliver the best European education we can in cultural, social, and health psychology, but not only as abstract concepts or as abstract disciplines, but in particular applied to the current societal challenges. And of course, as you can see in our title, Global Minds is very much about mobility and migration, inclusion and diversity, but related to these very particular topics are also the climate change, the social inclusion, the digital transitions, the general diversity and inclusion challenges, and even conflict situations that we are experiencing in our societies, okay? So I think it is important to understand that this is about psychology, but it's about the psychology of getting involved, understanding, analyzing, proposing solutions and interventions to very concrete social problems, okay? Our second ambition, and also in the context of the Erasmus Mundus requirement of mobility and of living abroad, we are very focused on developing in our students intercultural competencies and a global mindset. So I think this is also something very specific, is a unique selling point for the Global Minds program, because you don't only learn the psychology of cross-cultural interactions and understanding the interconnectedness between people around the world. You're not only doing that from an academic point of view in your curricula, but you also live it. You have to live it, because you have to live in at least 2 different countries during the master thesis, during the master program, and you are doing it in a cohort of students and together with a bunch of professors that are themselves very diverse, okay? So that diversity and that ability to engage across differences and to reconcile differences is a learning outcome for our graduates, right? Because we teach it, but we also live it, all of us together with you, okay? And then the third objective here refers to the fact that we are also wanting to work very collaboratively, not just with the 4 universities that are delivering the modules, the program, delivering the supervision for your research, for example, but that we are working in a broader context, because all of our students have to also do an internship, a 300-hour internship in an organization outside, in the real world, right? It's your first step into getting a job with these qualifications that we are preparing you to get. So this means that we also have a network and are developing a network of associate partners who can be other universities as well, in case your internship is about research, but who are also working at the front line, working with refugees or organizations that work with equality, diversity, and inclusion, or indeed any other research institutes, right? So when you come to the Global Minds program, you don't come to just the 4 universities. You also come in this broader network of people working and doing research with the topics of migration, inclusion, and diversity. And the last collaboration that is mentioned there that is equally important and that is always forever growing is with our alumni. And as you can see today, we have 2 of them present here. Our alumni, some of them immediately move on and then are too busy to stay in touch with the program, but some of them continue to stay in touch with the program because, for example, they become in their new jobs hosts of the new Global Mind students, right? Or they are this support. They can give support to us as a program and to the new students in understanding how the program works and what you can do with your degree. We have some career days as well during the program where we invite the alumni to tell us about their life after the Global Mind. So we are really trying to work in this collaborative model with multiple partners across Europe and internationally, and with multiple types of stakeholders. So our students, as well as our colleagues, as well as people from outside academia. And this brings me to the 4th objective that we hold very close to our hearts, everybody in Global Minds, which is that we really, really believe in this model of knowledge co-production and skill building, right? So it's really about learning from and with each other rather than in a very, maybe traditional hierarchical way where only the professor knows, right? Of course, the professor always knows more or has more experience, right? But the beauty of Global Minds, I think, is that we are really always constantly learning from other professors. So the learning doesn't just happen on a vertical dimension, but also at the top, the professors are learning among each other from the different universities and with the different partners. And also absolutely at the bottom, so the students are also not only learning from the professors, but also from each other, right? So this collaborative model of learning and teaching, I think, is something that we're very proud of. And we have encountered that it's also very transformational, right? Because people can bring who they are, their experiences, and then everybody then learns from that, right? So sharing is caring. We really believe in that principle. So the more you share, the more you get involved, the more everybody benefits, and the more that invites that other people also share and get involved, okay? So this is our website, and I really, really recommend that you have a really, really good look at it to understand what the program is about. I put here a QR code that will send you there to the website. It's organized really, really well. Diana Lizarazo, who is here today, also has been absolutely instrumental in making this very student-friendly. So she has worked with our program after she finished being a student in it as our social media and communications officer. And we are really grateful for her for designing such an amazing website. So really, I think it should be relatively easy for you to find your way around it, and to also look at frequently asked questions and previous recordings of these webinars and so on, okay? So what is Global Minds? In case you didn't really figure it out by now, it's a master's program that was very, among the fortunate to be awarded the Erasmus Mundus grant for a 2nd time. So the first time this was secured was in 2017 for 3 cohorts of students. The 2nd time we secured the funding was last year for 4 cohorts of students. So you guys who are planning to apply and hopefully start studying with us in 2024 will be the 2nd cohort in this new edition of our Global Minds program, okay? It's a 2 years master's program. We deliver all the materials in English across all 4 partner universities. And, the major insights in terms of theory come from social and cultural psychology, but also really focus on these topics, right? So there's topic-specific expertise in our consortium around diversity and inclusion, global mobility, acculturation, and health. So what you can expect from this program, as I mentioned a bit before, is that not only you gain the scientific knowledge and practical skills, but you also get very first-hand intercultural experience through this international mobility, through your internship, and through the diversity of your own cohorts, okay? And the structure of the Global Minds, and I'm going to pass on very soon to Melanie and Karolina now, is that in year 1, you have to study at 2 universities in 2 countries. And this is absolutely compulsory, right? So you cannot do this program unless you actually go to 2 different universities in the 2 different countries, okay? At the end, so 1 semester at 1 university, the other semester at the other university. And these are very determined paths. So you don't get to choose. You can just choose from the paths we have. There's still a lot of choice. But, it's not like, oh, there's 4 things. I'll choose this. No, there are 4 things, but they are organized in a structure that I'll show on the next slide. And at the end of semester 1 in 1 country, semester 2 in another country, everybody comes to Limerick for a 2-week summer school in June after the first year, right? So the first year ends with the summer school where all the students from all the paths of study come together in one place, and we do a summer school together. And then in year 2, you do an internship, like it's around 3 months, 300 hours, that we can help you to secure, but that you are absolutely invited to secure yourself. We will give you some support in how you apply for jobs, how you look for things, and so on. But it is very much your responsibility, because this is your learning in how you can get a job in the field. And luckily, we have a lot of experience, since we have over 100 graduates by now in our program. So we have a lot of experience and idea about where could our students go for these internships and where could they get jobs. And then you continue with the master thesis that you defend in the period of June, August of the 2nd year, right? So in that 2nd year, you're doing your internship and your master thesis in parallel, but typically, because the internship is much shorter, internship finishes by Christmas, and then you continue full-time on your master's thesis, right? And now, shana, the pathways of studies. So I will maybe pass it on to Melanie to introduce Path A, because Path A, of course, starts in Lisbon, and then people come to Limerick, and then I will pass it on to Karolina, because for Path B and C, students start with Karolina and her team in SWPS, okay? So Melanie, do you want to tell us something about Path A?
Yep, sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Anca, for this nice introduction. So I'm based in Lisbon, Portugal. I'm not Portuguese. So speaking of diversity, I have a German-Brazilian background. So I'm really, really passionate about the topic of cultural diversity. So in regard to the curriculum and the way it is set up, so you may have noticed already that there is some overlap between Path A and Path B in the first semester. And that is on purpose. So we really want our students to have kind of the same type of foundation before they move on to the 2nd semester in terms of cultural psychology, intercultural psychology, and social psychology. And so what we do at ISTE and SWPS is different in regard to the focus that we have, but similar in regard to the broader fields that we draw on, okay? So you will have compulsory courses at ISTE related to social psychology. Ours is called Stereotyping, Prejudice, and Discrimination, Advanced Topics. And so here we will look at contemporary expressions of prejudice. Where do they come from? How have they changed compared to the past? And how do they manifest themselves in contemporary society? And then another compulsory course is cultural psychology, where we really want to bring everyone at the same level. in regard to what explains how people think and behave in different cultures. And so to what extent are there cultural differences? Because the issue here is that sometimes there are cultural psychology courses embedded in bachelor programs, but it's not always the case. And we think it's very, very important to have actually a good base of knowledge in this area. And of course, we go also beyond the basics and discuss some, I think, very, very important topics that happen to be also my research area, such as morality. So to what extent people have different opinions about moralized issues, and that is also informed by culture. And then another very important compulsory course that we have is psychology of intercultural contact and communication. This is the intercultural dimension, right? So here we are looking more at what happens when people from different cultures come together, and we will discuss issues of acculturation, but also communication, so differences in communication style and the kind of misunderstandings that can happen because of that. So these are the 3 compulsory courses. And then we have a methods course, advanced quantitative analysis, where students learn about mediation. So something very important, because many of our students actually do later use quantitative methods and mediation or moderation analysis. Moderation is another one that you also learn. And so I think that gives you a very, very good training in this area in order to be able to do your master thesis. And then we have also content-related electives. So you can choose between diversity at work or diversity at school, basically. Okay, so these 2 different domains, very important as well. And so depending on your interests, personal preferences, what you also want to do later on, you can choose between those 2. So this is basically it from each side in the first semester. And then, of course, we're always happy when students decide to come back and also do their master thesis semester and internship semester with us. We have seminars to accompany our students during the 2nd year, which is much more autonomous. Okay, so it's much more, you will be much more, do more self-determined work. And so the seminars are supposed to accompany you a little bit in that, and are great spaces for discussion and knowledge exchange between peers and with teachers and so on. And so basically that's it from Ishta's side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Melanie. It's always so good to hear the voice of someone, right? And to actually understand, oh my God, this is the person I would meet, and this is the person I would work with if I end up on path A, right? So thank you, not just for the content, but also for your time and your presence. I can explain a little bit more about semester 2, but I would like to maybe keep with semester 1 and ask Karolina if you want to also go through the kind of experience that people and the learning that people do in Warsaw.
Thank you, Anca, for a short introduction. I'm more an intercultural psychologist than a cross-cultural psychologist. My study, my research interest focused on intercultural business setting, and I usually do my research among business employees and managers in an intercultural work setting. I'm recently more into cultural intelligence and developing skills and competences to effectively work in an intercultural work setting. And when it comes to semester 1 as WPS, I just wanted to say that we hosted Georgiana, who is today with us at SWPS. So if you, if any one of you would like to get some insightful information how it really was in Warsaw, you can reach out to Georgiana. Yeah, at the moment we host 18 students from all over the world. And they have just came back from a trip to Krakow, where they spent 4 days not only sightseeing Krakow, but they also had a short half-day seminar with Professor Halina Grzmała-Moszczyńska, who's running a seminar called Psychology of Acculturation and Economic Migration. So it was sort of a field trip, I could say. I just got feedback that students liked it a lot, and not only had they have a chance to sightsee, but also to interact with their potential master thesis supervisor. So Professor Halina Moszczeńska, she's the one who supervises, who actually has been supervising students' master thesis for years now. She's dealing with issues related to refugees and asylum seekers and refugehood, and she's more into qualitative research methods. So for those who are not very much into stats, she's a beloved choice. Well, I don't want to go into the details of the courses. As you know, it's social and cultural masters, so you have both components in our university. There's dynamical social psych, which is a brand new approach to social psychology run by Professor Novak. And then psychology of acculturation and economic migrations that I contribute to. There is a course entitled Cultural Determinants of Human Behavior, where you basically learn about basics of human behavior grounded in cultural context. There is stats module, which is run by Max Bielecki, and he's considering to move on to teach R from the next academic year on. There's also a huge module related to intercultural competence training, where we teach students not only knowledge about training methods, but we also aim to develop skills and competences that will actually help students to develop their own trainings and workshops in the future. So as you see, the semester in Warsaw is fully packed with courses. These are really huge 5-6 ECTS's courses. They usually consist of a lecture or seminar plus workshops, and it basically takes pretty much of students' time, so that there's not really space for work in the first semester in Warsaw. So if someone thinks about searching for a part-time job, it's actually hardly possible, because courses are scattered around a whole week from Monday to Friday, and it's really challenging to even find part-time job that would fit in between the courses. So yeah, so I think this is something that Georgiana could confirm. But overall, I think it's really interesting to be with us in Warsaw. We have a number of events, welcoming party, Christmas party, farewell party, and then trips in between to different places. And just the very last thing that I wanted to say is that semester in Warsaw is for Global Mind students is shorter than it actually is for all the other SWPS students, as Global Mind students shall leave Warsaw until January 15th at the latest, so that they could begin their semester 2 in Limerick or in Oslo. So the semester in Warsaw is really very intensive, and a number of students confirm that. So So yeah, at the same time, it's quite challenging. Yeah. So this is all from my side.
That's perfect, Karolina, and that's a really good point where I think it would be nice to also hear from Didi and Georgiana about their experience of moving, right? So, you know, they were also on different paths and experienced different things. And in the past, it was actually possible to go to more than 2 universities. Right now, we are very constrained in that. So if you are on path A, you will start in Lisbon, come to Limerick, and then in the second year, your choices are to go back to Lisbon or stay in Limerick. So you're not going to be able to go to Warsaw or to Oslo if you're on path A. And similar for the other paths, if you're on path B, you start in Warsaw, you go to Oslo, and in year 2 for your thesis and your internship, you have the choice of either going back to Poland or staying in Oslo. Now, the internship can always be somewhere else in a third country, okay? But the thesis supervision and your physical presence in the country where your supervisor is required in year 2. And we have, this is a modification in the program compared to the cohort where, for example, Didi graduated. And I know that Didi was in Lisbon, then came to Limerick, and then went to Oslo, right? So there were more choices in the past than we have now. But it was our experience, and also from the point of view of running the program, that the 2 mobilities between at least 2 countries were already quite demanding. And sometimes the third mobility that the internship is demanding also adds a lot of pressure on the students. The majority of the students on our Erasmus Mundus program are non-European, which also means that they have to have visas for every country they go to. So we have made this decision from now on, so from already 2021 into the future, that the mobilities are really within your path of study, okay? So I don't know, Didi or Georgiana, do you want to comment on that movement? And on, so no, you don't have to comment so much on the content of the different paths because they might have also changed, but maybe from a student perspective, whether, you know, whether this living in 2 different places, coping with 2 different academic environments, you know, yeah, what did you feel about that? So let's see, I can't see you guys. So yeah,
Georgiana, please go ahead.
Georgiana goes first. Go ahead.
Okay, great. I was waiting for you to go first. Okay, so well, from my side, during the 3rd cohort, the paths were different. So I was the PET C, but it was another university involved in Turkey. So for me, I was in SWPS in Poland and then in Turkey, in Istanbul. So, and then for me, the second year I actually went back to SWPS for both my internship. It was still in Poland, in Warsaw, and then also my master thesis was in Poland. And about this movement, I think I found it easier to keep the same year, the second year in both, in the same country, because moving the first year was very intense. As Karolina was also saying, the first semester is a lot to take in because there's a lot of assignments and everything is new. So we also need this time of adaptation and getting used to everything. And yes, for me, I would say that it was challenging to move to Turkey. It was a totally different culture for me, and also the university was different. And I guess, I mean, nobody prepares you for this. I mean, you know that it will be different, but when you experience it, it's like, it's a shock, of course. So that's why cultural shock. And yes, I mean, we did learn a lot from both universities, and it's also interesting to see like the different styles of teaching. In Warsaw, we had more classes. For us in Turkey, we had like only 3 or 4 classes. It was like fewer classes, but some of them, they were more intensive, more individual work. In Warsaw was more collective work, a lot of group assignments. So Yes, well, it's an amazing, for me, it was a life-changing experience, this master. And yes, about the moving to different countries, it's a great it's an experience that you cannot compare it to anything. So I totally encourage everybody, even though it's challenging, but we need to do challenging stuff to actually improve ourselves, to grow, and just to become the better version of ourselves.
Thank you, Georgiana. And I'm reminded by that saying that, you know, comfort zone is safe and it's lovely, but nothing ever happens there, right? So like,
Yes.
unless you come out of your comfort zone, you don't really give yourself that chance to grow and to really learn the new things. And that also then means that learning all these new things means that you are outside of your comfort zone. So the challenge and the being prepared to deal with the unknown and with the uncertainty, I think it's almost a prerequisite in joining an Erasmus Mundus program and in joining our program then also, right? So then, you know, and I really appreciate when you said nothing can really prepare you for it, you know, because we are, of course, trying to warn people and tell them, look, it's going to be hard, you know, this, you know, but of course, unless you feel it in your own skin, in your own body and soul, you sometimes don't quite, you know, you don't learn from it, at least, you know, you don't really experience it. So thank you so much for your insights. And yeah, we did replace the path C because we couldn't collaborate with Koch University beyond that first edition of the program. And when the program came into UL, we have a real strength in research in the area of mental health and health in general, and especially in the area of migrant health. So here in this university, for example, in the medical school, there is a World Health Organization Center of Excellence into the access of migrants in health. So we are trying to capitalize on that local knowledge, and therefore we have developed this new path called Inclusion and Health, which now can bring the students from Warsaw to Limerick. And this is new. It's still quite new, and it's quite exciting, right? So I suppose the difference between the people coming from Lisbon on path A and the people coming from Warsaw on path C is really in the content of those core modules that they get here, right? So in path A, in culture and diversity, I teach political psychology, and Ronnie Greenwood, Dr. Ronnie Greenwood teaches community psychology. And basically you get the students to really apply their knowledge to these particular areas, right? So like, how do you do a community needs assessment, or how do you develop a campaign for political activism? How do you develop or engage with the UN Sustainable Goals, which is something that I do in my course. And then, of course, you also take some electives and again, more research methods courses. And what we essentially have at the moment is that in semester 1 universities, you are taking quantitative research methods, so statistics. In semester 2, you have the choice of continuing with the quantitative or also develop your qualitative research skills. So then, you know, students get the opportunity to be exposed in both in semester 2. And then, of course, you can dig in deeper in what you need for your master's thesis, right? So that, I think, stayed a little bit the same. And I just want to say one more thing before I pass it to Diana, that Georgiana alluded to, which is the difference between the learning experience between semester 1 and semester 2, which actually remains. In semester 2, both in Limerick and in Oslo, and it used to be like that in Koch, students are expected to do way more individual study than in semester 1. In semester 1, in both Lisbon and Warsaw, you have a lot of class. You go to school to learn. You're in the classroom setting much more, and the work, it feels more intense because you are there, and there are 5 modules, right? So there's a lot of activity, and the students have to really also adapt to the fact that they are on a master's level program. So the master level, you're also adapting to the fact that you're not in a regular bachelor program, where again, the rhythm of learning and the expectancy of how much you are fed information as opposed to how much you develop your knowledge, right? So who's responsible for your learning changes. When you go to postgraduate education, you become more responsible for your learning. And in our program, we are also almost doing this gradually, because in semester 2, students have to take more responsibility to organize their time and to do self-driven, independent study. There are only 4 modules in semester 2, and then we have the summer school, that is the 5th. So there's a little bit more space in the semester time, but that also comes with this, again, adapting to a second country, to a second set of rules, and immediately after you just finished your exams. So there's actually very little break between semester 1 and semester 2. So this is kind of how the program looks like. And then in year 2, like Melanie was alluding earlier, while we have some seminars that keep people together and bring still people together, really it's your master thesis is a very independent piece of work, right? And it's where you work with your supervisor, and we encourage that people still work with each other and there's a cohort interaction, but really it's an independent work. I pass it to Diana now, or Georgiana, you want to add something else?
Yes, I actually wanted to add this. I forgot to mention that for us, it was also a third culture change, because it was the pandemic. During the second semester, the pandemic started, so all classes were like switched online. So then that was something, it's another culture shock, because it's a transition, it's this digital transition. So in some way it was a very challenging situation, I mean, for everybody, but also I think it was a great opportunity for us to like transition to digital learning as well. And I remember in second semester in Coach, they told us, okay, you have to design and deliver an intercultural competence training online. And we were like, okay, but how we will do that? And they're like, well, we are all learning at this moment, so this is your chance, this is your opportunity to do it. So I'm happy we had it, because now I'm so comfortable to do an intercultural competence training online because of that. So
this is amazing that you mentioned, because we also as a program have learned a lot from that. So we are trying to have more cross-university collaborations now, because people are more used to the online environment, right? And the virtual space as also a space of meeting. While before the pandemic, we were also much more focused of, if you're in Warsaw, stay in Warsaw, focus on Warsaw. Mm-hmm. If you're in Lisbon, stay in Lisbon, focus on Lisbon. While now also us as a program are trying to unite and to still virtually link people no matter where they are. So that's and the pandemic actually taught us that. And also really was like this opportunity to explore this other way, right? So look, my ambition to do this very fast is not really working, but I want to hear Diana as well, and then I'll race through the rest of the slides about maybe some other key information.
Thank you, Anca, for the presentation, and hello everyone. I'm really happy that so many of you are here today. I think in short, I will just label this as a life-changing experience. And in general, I'm very thankful with everyone here, Melanie, Anca, Karolina, and all the other coordinators for all the work that they have put in this program. If I have to talk about all the challenges that come with that experience, I can tell you that, yeah, it's going to be challenging. I think at the beginning, when you start planning to participate in this master, it sounds like a dream, right? Oh, you will end up traveling to these awesome countries and get to learn from these different universities. And it sounds like a dream, and it's a dream. But during the experience, lots of things happen. There will be lots of stress. The classes, you have to adapt to whatever is happening in your the cities where you are going to be traveling, to the universities. Each university has a different system. The classes are different, even the grades. And the grade system is different. But on top of that, there will be a stress with, if you are non-European, for example, visa application, residency permits, and so on. The experience itself is a very challenging one, but I can tell you, because I went through all these, not only I had the opportunity to do my Global Minds experience in 3 of the 4 universities now, and I don't have any regrets. For me, now that I'm done, again, it looks like a dream. It was a beautiful experience. All the things, all the bad things that happen, I just forgot about them, because I think in the end, what it matters is like all the knowledge that I acquired, but also the experiences, the people that I met. I think those are the things that in the end stick with you. And I call it like a life-changing experience, because I think definitely life is not going to be the same, especially after you get to know people from all these different countries, when you have the opportunity to work, do internships, get experiences in other countries, and then you never know, maybe stay in the countries. For example, that is my case. I stay now in Oslo. I got a permanent job now, and I got my residency permit for the next 3 years. So for example, my life will never be the same. And so yeah, you never know, even like the other kind of experiences you can get during the master. So yeah, there are challenges, and it's going to be a stressful experience, and there will be some things that maybe are not perfect, but well, nothing is perfect, but in the end, again, everything is worth it. Like, I don't have any regrets, and I love, even though I had to do this through COVID, that it was a downside of the program. Like, it's not the fault of the program, but it was like we all had to go through the pandemic. Even like that, I really appreciate to have been part of this master program. And I don't want to take more time, because I have seen some questions about the cost, and I think it's important to clarify the scholarships.
Perfect. Okay. So and maybe before that, can I also maybe give the floor to Caroline, just to say hello also, and to also say that Caroline, you know, part of Caroline's role as a European coordinator for the administrative aspects are some of these supports that are here on this slide. So Caroline has been now also learning a lot about visas and, you know, is dealing with, you know, accommodation and securing accommodation for our students and things like that. So I don't know, Caroline, do you want to say hello?
Say hello to everybody, and you're very welcome here today, and it's lovely to welcome you. And I suppose over the last few months, I've been working very closely with Anca and Melanie, Karolina, Didi, as we call her, and Georgiana, who I met, and it's just been a pleasure. But just to say that we are there to support you, and hopefully, you know, when you do join the program, if you're successful, it's just nice to know, as Anca said earlier, that there's a face to the name, and that we're there at the end of an email or a Teams call just to say any queries. And don't be afraid, as we say, to ask any questions. You know, there's nothing that you know, you may in your mind think, oh, I can't ask that, and nobody will know. But, you know, just ask, don't be afraid. That's what we're there for. And just what I have learned in the last few months is a lovely group of people there to support you, and the program is fantastic opportunity for you. And the roles, as Didi said, that come out of this, and the interactions you will have along the way will be fantastic for your career. So I wish you all the best of luck with your applications, and it would be lovely to see you on board next year.
And Caroline will also be at the end of a lot of emails about the application process, because they all land on Caroline's desk, and then we are all trying to find out the answers for you. So thank you so much, Caroline, for joining our team. Lovely, what is it? It's birds of a feather flock together, right? So lovely people attract lovely people, which I think is really cool. So hopefully now we'll expand our Global Minds community with some of the people on the call right now. I'm going to show you now. I cannot see the chat. Okay, so I'm going to ask Didi if you can help with that, or direct me to some of the things I should answer, right? But just to tell you, these are all on the website, and it's absolutely clear that our program is for people who have a background in psychology. And I cannot underline that enough. So you can apply for the program when you have an undergraduate degree in psychology, or when you have a minimum of 55% of your previous degree in psychology-related topics, psychology and research methods. And this is also where we are investing a lot of time in screening the applications and in supporting applicants to count, in case they don't have an undergraduate degree, to count whether they have enough credits in psychology and related topics that would still qualify them as a minimal entry criteria. So you will not even be able to apply to the program unless you convince us through Caroline, through this application process, that you have a minimum of 55% of all the credits that you earned before in psychology and research related modules or disciplines. Okay, so I just wanted to say that loud and clear. We had to adapt our application system because we realized that there are so many people interested in migration, inclusion, and diversity who do not have a background in psychology, and we cannot accept those students on the program because we take it that you have enough baseline knowledge in psychology and research methods so that we can bring you one level up. And if we were to allow, and we couldn't anyway because our program is not accredited for that, if we were to allow non-psychology students on the program, then the standards of the program would decrease hugely. So just please be aware of that. And I'm really sorry if you now discover that you can't join this fabulous program because you don't have enough psychology, but we can also advise how you might be able to get enough, and hopefully then you can apply next year, okay, in the next round. So in terms of the funding available for the for students, basically what we have is the fees of the program are 9,000 euros for EU students. That is for the whole, both 2 years for the whole program. So per year is 4,500. And for non-EU students is double, right? So per year is 9,000, for the whole program is 18,000. We have at least a minimum of 11 places available for self-funded students. However, the application is joint. Everybody applies, and then the way we distribute the scholarships, the partial scholarships and the self-funded places is according to the merit of the applicants. So we don't have separate application routes for people who want a scholarship or who want a place that they can pay for. The application route is for everybody at the same time. And then the way we offer a place with a full scholarship, which essentially gives you 1,400 euros a month for 24 months, and you do not have to pay this tuition fee. So the full scholarship is very generous because you get a stipend in your pocket, and also you don't have to pay these tuition fees. The partial scholarships is where you don't have to pay. It's a fee waiver. It's where you do not have to pay the fees, but you then don't get extra money. Okay, you would have to actually pay for yourself through the program, right? And when you are on the self-funded places, you have to pay the fees, and you have to find a way to secure you know, a life, your life and your transportation and this, and that's where we I think we will have to do a separate webinar. I think we did this last year as well, right, Didi, where we talked in particular about the funding and the estimation of costs, and you know, in how you can still dream of joining the Erasmus Mundus program, especially from outside of Europe, where you're not quite sure how to even calculate these things. In addition to this financial support, we have special needs funding that the European Union allocated. So, you know, on a case-by-case basis for people for applicants, students who are offered the place, but who need additional funding to support them with their special needs, we actually also have that allocated, right, from the Erasmus Mundus. There are other mechanisms where if you are a self-funded student or a partially funded, so where you just don't have to pay the tuition fee, you can apply in most of our universities for an Erasmus mobility grant for a one-semester mobility. And there are other ways of ensuring a livelihood while you're studying, which are not of course not easy to engage with, like, you know, getting a loan is a long-term commitment, but I suppose it's about investing in your future, right? So, and we can also discuss about this, and on our website there are some hints. There is a calculator that helps you calculate the living costs, and we are constantly upgrading and making more up to date that information, because of course it changes. What I would like to say is that the semester 1 universities in Warsaw and in Lisbon seem to have a lower living cost than semester 2 universities. So both Limerick and Oslo are much more expensive places to live. Ireland and Norway are very expensive places to live compared to Portugal and Poland. So just to kind of give you a big picture of, yeah, but so that basically means that no matter what path you choose, you will always have a combination of a cheaper country in semester 1 and a more expensive country to live in semester 2, right? So the paths combine, yeah. Okay, so then I will open up and I will start looking at the chat. Is there anything that I should? Oh, Karolina, I know it's okay. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Good luck to everyone and see you hopefully in Warsaw. Bye bye.
Ciao, Karolina. Thank you so much.
Ciao. Thank you.
Okay, so I see that Diana already started to answer some of those questions. Is there something that I should maybe address in particular?
I think people were asking about accommodation. I think it was
Accommodation.
one of the questions, how it works.
Okay.
Also, there was a question about, can I travel with my family?
Okay, so accommodation, again, it's kind of yeah, it's a sexy topic always because people do need a place to live, and it's also, you know, yeah, something that you have to figure out for a few months at a time, and maybe in the second year you're lucky to secure for a whole year, but you know, these are really difficult things to really figure out, right? So we in Lisbon and in Warsaw, there are some student accommodation possibilities. So the universities have like student dormitories and so on. However, I think in both Lisbon and Warsaw, what we also have is a reference to some agencies that help international students secure accommodation also off campus or outside of the university campuses. I would really, really recommend that you look a little bit more and ask us. Also, we can discuss this more in terms of how to find information. So we are giving a bit of guideline. Diana put together a nice handbook where, you know, you kind of get sent to websites where you can look in for more information. I can also tell you that both in Limerick and in Oslo, we are working really hard with our campus accommodation teams to make sure that we block, you know, some places. But I don't know, Caroline was updating me the other time that we have 27 students coming to Limerick. And right now, so now it's November and the students come in January, right? I think 4 are still looking, right?
So 4, and out of those 4, I've been in contact with them. They have secured off-campus accommodation. Okay. So what we did this year is we coordinated a file of everybody who has applied for online accommodation, and then there's an accommodation hub that people can register for accommodation that's outside of the campus. And then there are some private hosts that they are given the opportunity by the UL Accommodation Office they form a database, and then it's up to the students themselves to contact those people to get accommodation. So out of, as Anca said, out of the 27, there's only 4. And they're okay. They're successfully achieved accommodation. And the most important thing about that is that you need proof of where you're going to be resident when you apply for the visa. So when people are going to come into Ireland, they actually need a physical letter saying, I'm going to stay here, or this is where I'm going to stay. And that's why it's very important to have your accommodation secured before. But again, we will help you with that in terms of, like, we liaise with the accommodation office, and we give you all the information on the providers of accommodation as well.
Yes. So this is where we are trying to help a lot. But of course, there are also constraints, okay? Because even the campus accommodation, of course, is not in the control of our team, but we are, you know, negotiating also on your behalf with the campus accommodation teams, you know. But I think that the alumni actually have been really, really good. And the current students who are in a year above you have also been really, really good in kind of giving advice, you know, and kind of, you know, highlighting the plus and the minus of living on campus, off campus, in that neighborhood, in this neighborhood, right? I don't know if Georgiana, if you want to add anything about that. It's really, I think it's yeah, the experience in our program has been that it was also a matter of luck sometimes, so some people really loved living on campus and really benefited from it, and other people felt very out of place, because it was too far from the city. So so it's so hard to generalize, what will suit somebody. I think that the most important focus is, let's get a place to live, and once we're there, we can fix it, as opposed to trying to get the best place, because still this is only for 3 months, right? So like it's kind of, how do you cope with that? Yeah, to be as practical as possible, but still also not have to compromise a lot, right? In terms of your lifestyle.
Yes, well, to comment about the accommodation in both countries, for me, I chose to find a flat and sharing flat with another person or other people. In the first semester, I actually shared the flat with another colleague from Global Minds. It was, I think it's a great opportunity, even if you don't want to live in a student dorm, is to discuss with your colleagues. Maybe you can share flats together. That's a good option as well. It's cheaper, and again, it's a great experience, because when you find yourself in a new country, you need the social support and to build your social network. So it's good to live with other people, so you get the chance to connect with them, to get to know them. Also in Turkey, for us, most of us, we had the opportunities to stay in the dorms, because the university was outside of the city. But many of us, we chose to actually live in the city and commute 1 hour to the university, because we wanted to get the experience of living in Istanbul, which is a huge city. I can say that was maybe the greatest option, because it was very tiring to commute that much, and also with the intensity of the classes. But I think in the end, it was it was a good opportunity to get to know the city as well. And yes, just to experience the life in the city, because it's not only about the program, the academic training, it's also about the experiencing of living in a new country, being in a new country where you don't understand the language, you have to figure out all this administrative part, and yeah, you get lost in the city. But it is challenging, but it has its beauty as well. Now, when I think about this, when I was in Turkey, it was the first time I was in Turkey. I completely arrived there, completely lost, not knowing where to go in a city which has more than 15 million people. So I was completely terrified. But now when I think about it, it's very funny, because I'm thinking, oh, how stressed I was. But in the end, it was a very fulfilling and experience, and it helped me grow as a person.
Yeah, and this is so interesting, because again, especially those of you who are interested in migration as an area of study, so not just diversity or not just inclusion, but just the migrant experience. This is the migrant experience, and you're living it. So everything you're saying, Georgiana, sounds like, even if you had to do that for a job or for any other reason rather than studying, that's exactly the stress, that's exactly the problem. So I think it's also, and what we also noticed in the past cohorts were that the European students who didn't need to have the visa problem, for example, learned a lot about the psychology of being dependent on a piece of paper to do anything, right? Because they learned from their colleagues who were constrained by their visa to do everything and anything, including, this guy cannot work more than 20 hours, for example. This guy, nobody checks how many hours, right? Because they don't need a working permit, right? And that sense of knowledge, but also the sense of injustice that is experienced, right? That you feel you're an outsider because you don't speak the language, right? But then you also don't have the right paperwork. And then even if it doesn't happen to you, it happens to the guy that you share the house with, or the guy that is in your master's program and that you share all your modules with. There's a huge experiential learning there. And it's also, of course, a very depressive one, because nobody wants to learn about trauma by being traumatized. But of course, it does happen. And it is really, like you guys said, life-changing, right? So unless you go through those, you would not really be able to understand. And I suppose this is also where you get to filter what you want to do in your future, right? Because once you're in this program, you understand so much about mobility and migration and displacement, about feeling or included or excluded, about dealing and coping and managing diversity in a kind of work environment, right? That you can decide whether you want to go at the front line, you know, to help other people who are refugees or migrants. Yeah, about a third of our alumni go in that humanitarian field. A third of our students go into the organizational world, in businesses or in completely different areas, like Georgiana also did in kind of managing teams or managing international projects and so on, or in the kind of human resource field of, diversity and inclusion in organizational settings. And a third, the last third of our students actually goes into research. So quite, almost 1 in 3 of our students stayed on with us or went on to do a PhD or take on a research role, right? And I think that this is the beauty of doing a master's program, and especially doing one like ours and one the last 2 years, because you have a lot of time to make some decisions about your future life, right? Because if something is too heavy to do, like the frontline work with people who are very traumatized, like refugees, you will understand that you are able or you're not able to do that kind of job through this program. Because you would witness situations where you will have to reflect and see, okay, would I be able to do this for my job? Right? So I think this is one way where, this is quite exciting, right? So I saw that Didi did an amazing job at answering a lot of questions. So I thank you so much, as always, Diana. Maybe just one thing to mention that is applicable to everybody is that the program will secure health insurance, travel health insurance that will cover your urgent, and medical needs in all the countries for all the students. So this is one of the benefits of being an Erasmus Mundus program, that whether or not you get an Erasmus scholarship, as long as you're accepted and enrolled in our program, we will get insurance for you. This is what the funding from the Erasmus Mundus and the belonging to this European funded family does for us. So that health insurance is also something that Caroline is managing. And, we will get that the minute you accept the offer on the program, so that you can use that in order to also apply for visas, right? There's a majority of time you need to have insurance to get a visa, right? So that comes with the program, is a huge benefit to the program. And we have quite a comprehensive health insurance secured via our University of Limerick ways of doing things. And Caroline is on top of that. Right, Caroline?
Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that we will give, and again, we will meet with all the students once you're on the program and on the paths and all the information about that. And it is very comprehensive, the information, and we'll ensure that you know where, what you need to know about it, because as Anca knows, it's a huge document. You get this and you go, well, how does that relate to me? And then when we don't want it to happen, that something happens and there's a panic, so which we learn from our mistakes. So how we will work with you to inform you of all of that information as well.
Perfect. I saw here just randomly a question about, whether, if you have a master's, you're more likely to be accepted in the program or not, or which route to take. If you are in doubt and you didn't get an answer right here in the chat, please email us. because it's much faster to answer those queries by email also, because they are personalized, right? So, for example, there is a case here. They do not have a bachelor in psychology, but they have a master's in psychology already. That qualifies you as a degree in psychology, right? So even if it's a master's degree in psychology that you have, go through the application route, through the route of I have a master's degree, right? So I can maybe share. So when you go to apply on our, do you see this slide with the
Yep.
GP slide? Yeah. So here we are asking you select your qualification, and here there are basically 3 options. If you go in the option bachelor degree in psychology or equivalent, so the person asking about I have a master's degree in psychology, that's where you want to go, right? And then you will receive a link that allows you to immediately apply for the program. If you click the second option, bachelor degree in other subject, but with a minimum of, then you are asked to give us a list of all those topics, right? We ask you to give us a list and give us the number of credits you earned in those modules, but most importantly, across your whole degree, so that we can make a calculation that you have a minimum of 55% of all your studies and credits earned in psychology or research methods. And that's the route then that where Caroline and I and our team we can advise also students, right? So like if you have doubts, you either email us or you put everything you get in this form, and we will then come back to you and say, okay, you are eligible to apply, or actually still really these things don't add up, or you didn't give me enough information, right? So Caroline is very busy doing this now, because as we said, we have received a lot of interest in the past. So last year we had 517 applications to the program for 36 places. But about only 330 were fully eligible applications and completed applications, right? So that means that we got over 100 applications where people were just not eligible. Yeah, or of course, maybe there was also something missing or so on. So this is why we are really trying to check whether you're eligible before you have to apply everything and engage in the whole application process, just to discover that you're actually not eligible, okay? Okay, anything else I'm missing? I am actually really, oh, there's a last question there about academic references. So academic references, it means that somebody vouches that you are able to do a master's degree, right? And that's somebody that has to vouch for you, to promise us, to tell us that you are able to do academic work at the master's level, typically has to be an academic or somebody who worked with you in a research capacity, right? So if you have finished your bachelor degree maybe 10 years ago and you're not in touch with those people that, where you graduated anymore, but in the last 10 years, you've been working for a research institute or for an organization where you did do a lot of research and you engaged academically with stuff, your daily work was still in touch with academia, then it's asking a reference from those people who employed you, right? So it has to be about the academic ability of you to engage with the master's program, right? So it's not so much that, it has to be a professor that you worked with yesterday. They can come from many different sources, but they have to be able to be credible, so that we believe that, okay, this guy is known to the guy who gives the reference as somebody competent to do a master's program. Okay. And yes, it can be from work, yes, because as I said, sometimes you would have finished and lost touch with the people that, where you graduated. So then there is absolutely no problem with that. Okay. Okay, so I really want to maybe call the meeting to an end. Oh, there is one more question.
I would like to comment on something, because people are asking about which path should I take if I want to work in a specific field. And I think what I have experienced with getting to know lots of different alumni, I think it depends on how you want to, or what exactly you want to do, and how you shape that with the knowledge of the program. So if you want to end up working in an organization, then, for example, you go and try to find an internship in an organization that works with diversity and inclusion. And then you can do your thesis that focus on gender diversity in organizational settings. So in the end, I think is each one of us try to like work with the knowledge we got and integrate it to our own interests in many ways. And I think that is the way that you ended up having some kind of experience or knowledge in a specific topic. So if you are interested in disability, you want, I don't know, focus on health of disabled migrants. So then the best path, it will be path C. So I think it is a process of identifying what approach would you like to have, what exactly what will be the topic you would like to address, and then see how that fits to the program and which classes, for example, will give you a better background to that you want to achieve. And this is a really good reflexive exercise for the future, even when applying to the program, because it's really important that you have clear why do you want to be part of this program, how this program is going to contribute, how you want to contribute with this program. Those are the reflections that you have to have, and it will be awesome if you have it right now, because it will help you in the long term to plan better what to do. So you are not going to be in the program completely lost, not knowing what to do. But if you have it clear now, then everything will be better in the interview. You will be able to answer the right questions in the right way, and you will be able to join the program. So that is my main advice about not knowing which topic or what to do. And well, I saw different kind of questions.
Yeah, I really thank you for that, Didi. I think it's so important. Again, it makes me realize that we definitely need more than one webinar where we address some of these very particular concerns, right? But I suppose I just wrote that in answer to somebody as well, that have a look on our website and the profile of our graduates, right? And then the idea is, do I see myself doing that kind of job, right? And then you decide, okay, this is the program for me. And then it's about writing a justification about how is this program for you, because, all your life up to now kind of brought you to this program, and you are looking for a program that looks at the psychology of inclusion, for example, or the social psychology. There are really parts in the global South and in the global North that really don't teach any cultural aspect, never mind the social community aspect of psychology, right? So that could be really something for you, because you are interested in that, and that is not offered in your country or in your wherever you were before, right? And so it's about justifying that what you've done so far or your interests have led you to want this master's, but also that with this master's what you can do is contribute to the world in your future career in at least one of these three directions. Either research, so continue in academia with a PhD, or more research outside of academia in organizations or just general, public or private companies where you apply psychology in this organizational setting in dealing with inclusion and diversity, or in this space of humanitarian, third sector, NGO, non-governmental organization, community work space, right? And I think that actually those three areas of, graduating into, of getting a job into, actually have nothing to do with the paths, because you could be on any path of study and still be able to go in any one of those trajectories, right? So the paths are really more about what you're really very interested in, because it's either migrant health, or is more political and cultural and community, or is more social interventions, human rights, conflict resolution, social interventions, right? So if you look at semester 2 of what courses you get in the semester 2, that's where the specificity of the path comes in. Semester 1 is about cross-cultural psychology. So no matter where you are, you're getting the same content, you're getting the baseline. Yeah, in semester 2, you kind of specialize according to the paths. And sometimes people just choose because, they have an aunt in Norway and they want to live with the aunt during the second year. And that's fine and legitimate. Yeah, that's still a good reason, because it will make it more affordable. And if the master becomes more affordable because you have family in one of these countries and you can live with them, then it's a very good choice because it takes away the stress of financing the master. Okay.
I just want to give a last advice, like, because I have seen lots of questions here that you can easily find in the website. If you are really interested in the program, take your time, dedicate one day just to read everything, check all the classes, check all the information that is there. If you are curious about what alumni are doing, check the social media. There are lots of posts with this information. There are posts that provide also information for each university. Everything is there. But yeah, if you want to learn about alumni, go there, see who graduated from Global Minds, give a look to their profiles, see what was the experience, what are they doing now, so you have a better overview on what will be that future. So, but yeah, use the resources that you have now. I think just joining this webinar, it was already a great first step to actually immerse yourself already like a little bit more in the experience, and don't let everything to the last minute. It's good to start preparing as soon as possible. But yeah, if you are sure that this is what you want to do, believe it, just work to create a good application. Make sure, like, anyway, if there are things that you don't find there, ask questions. Caroline is going to be there, happy to solve all your doubts if you have, but very probably the answers are already there. So just
because
be
and
proactive.
also really like the social media, I would really also really encourage everybody, no matter whether you're going to join us or have another direction through life, to be on LinkedIn. So when you are on LinkedIn, you are able to also see what we do as people in this program. You are able to see and follow what the alumni of the program are doing, you know. And in any case, whether or not it's about Global Minds, when you're on LinkedIn, you can discover other you know, up-to-date information about the career you want to do, about the training you might want to take. Even LinkedIn, I mean, they're not paying me to say this. I just find it a very good platform for your professional development. And we have a lot of activity on LinkedIn because we believe that it's really good for our students to get visibility, but also to promote and support our alumni, but also to just be there and seen that we are a program and a bunch of people and a network of partners that are specializing in migration, diversity, and inclusion, right? So I personally use Instagram just to look at food photos and things like that. So I know that this is very generational, but irrespective of, you know, your favorite social media, I use Facebook, for example, just for my private network of friends. So I don't use Facebook or Instagram on a professional level. The program posts on those as well, right? Because again, in different parts of the countries, these platforms are used in different parts of the world. So for example, I know for a fact that in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Facebook is used very professionally, you know, so people look for jobs on Facebook and things like this. This is not true for Ireland, yeah. But LinkedIn, no matter where you are in the world, is used as a professional platform, right? So you do not find photos of cats and food on LinkedIn. You find professional information about careers, programs, and so on. And I would really say to you, first of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your interest in the program. Definitely reach out. I definitely think that, you know, if you look on the website and on our social media, you will get a lot of answers to a lot of these questions. Like Caroline said, also don't hesitate to ask. And I also really want to tell you that even if after today or after you look out the information, you discover that this program is not for you, that is still a discovery and is still a step towards your professional development. Because sometimes it's as important to know what we don't want as it is what we want, right? And sometimes it's also important to realize, okay, I really want to do this. It sounds really good, but I don't have enough psychology. That just means that you need to do more psychology and come back to us in a year or two. So all of those decisions, you know, they are not closed doors. They are just open doors, right? And this is why information is so powerful and knowledge is powerful, because the more you have it, the more you have the power to make the right decisions for you, you know? And I would like to end with a quote that I discovered recently that I think is very culturally sensitive and also really appropriate to our master's program. And the quote is like this. It says that education turns mirrors into windows. Right? So if you don't have education, all you see is yourself and people like you and things that you basically see around you, like you're looking in a mirror. With education, you look beyond that. And with a program like ours in Global Minds, you also learn to open windows that appear shut because of cultural differences or, you know, ethno-religious, you know, beliefs or anything that ends in discrimination and polarization, right? And this is why at least we love what we do, because we have seen how this opening of windows is enhancing and enhancing our life, our students' life, and also making the world really a better place. Yeah, because we graduate people who know how to sit with diversity, how to sit with discomfort, how to create dialogue between people who are on very opposing sides. This is what intercultural competence is about. So hopefully we will meet again. Thank you so much. And thank you once again to Caroline, Melanie and Karolina, who are already left, and Georgiana and Diana. I really don't have enough words to say thank you for choosing us in the first place and staying with us and joining us today. So yeah, thank you, and to be continued.